what I say. The cup of blessing which we bless, is it not the communion of the blood of Mashiach? The bread which we break, is it not the communion of the body of Mashiach? For we, being many, are one bread and one body, for we are all partakers of that one bread. Behold, Yasharal, after the flesh, are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar? What say I then, that the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to Elohim. And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils. You cannot drink the cup of the master and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the master's table and of the table of devils. Do we provoke the master to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. For the earth is Yahweh's and the fullness thereof. If any of them that believe not bid you to go to a feast, and you be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice to idols, eat not, for his sake that showed it, and for conscience sake. For the earth is Yahweh's and the fullness thereof.
Okay, so he made sure to let you know what he was talking about. He's saying as far as if they put food before you that may have been sacrificed or prayed in the name of another false deity or God or whatever the case may be, don't ask for it. Don't ask. For conscience sake. Because you know who you're going to give thanks for. But it doesn't say anything if he puts some unclean food in front of you, or, don't ask, is there pork in this? No, you better ask, because there's more than just a spiritual aspect to it. It's also a physical aspect to that. So he's not talking about that. So you can't take things out of context and try to twist it, especially when everybody in this book is telling you to keep the commandments. Go ahead.
Verse 30. Verse 29. Conscience, I say, not your own, but of the other. For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience? For if I, by grace, be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that which I give thanks? Whether therefore you eat or drink, or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of Elohim. Give none offense neither to the Yehudim, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the assembly of Yahweh, even as I please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved.
And these brothers were doing works. They're going in different households, preaching and teaching and doing Bible studies and reasoning with people. And they didn't have jobs. They weren't working. So when you have a situation like that, the workman is due his hire. So you come in there and you talking to some idol worshipers, and they're bringing you to your home, and you're trying to show an example of light. You don't want to offend them, be like, nah, I want to teach you, but I'm too good for you. I can't do nothing y'all doing. Now, what you can say is, hey, listen, I don't eat this and I don't eat that for your own health. Just like if you're allergic to something, you're going to ask for that, right? Or if you're allergic to nuts, you're going to ask, hey, is there any nuts in this cake? Because I'm allergic to nuts, or I'm allergic to certain plants, or whatever the case may be. What'd you say, brother?
Shellfish.
Right, or if you're allergic to shellfish, you're going to ask for that. You're going to ask those type of questions. So you want to ask anything health related for that. But as far as, hey, devil worshiper, did you sacrifice this to Baal? No, don't ask for that. You're there for a reason. You're there for a purpose. He's telling you right there, don't fellowship with devils, with idol worshipers. But you're there for a reason. You have liberty to be around these people. The same way they looked at Yahshua like, well, why is he sitting around all these doctors and lawyers and stuff? And Yahshua told him point blank, do you go see the doctor when you're well? You go see the doctor when you're sick. The doctor comes around to heal the sick people. So why should I not be around these people? All right, so let's move on. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 24. And what you see in this word, when you are somebody that speaks with authority, and you are confident in this word, and you have repented, and you have changed, and you've done a lot of great works, but at the end of still a man, susceptible to a fall. People that are not wanting to change, but wanting to point a finger at you so they can feel like, look, see, even he fell. So that's why nobody can do this. That's why we should just do it. They're going to point fingers at you. They're going to be waiting for your fall. But while they're taking joy out of it, like the adversary, the devil will have it for evil, Yahweh will use it for good. Because like we just read, you can be ensamples or examples to the flock. You just don't want to be an example in death, because you chose to be a dishonorable vessel. So Proverbs chapter 24.
Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 24 and verse 1. Be not you envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them, for their heart studies destruction and their lips talk of mischief.
So there's a difference between being around somebody who could be considered evil in hopes that possibly you will speak some, reason to them that maybe they'll hear. And then there's a difference between that and wanting that lifestyle, fearing Yah, but saying, well, since I can't have it, let me just be around and live vicariously through these wicked people. Because it's just only a matter of time before you fall doing the same thing. And that's what a lot of us will do in the word. We'll come in this word, we'll realize, okay, I got to change my lifestyle. I got to do this. I have some level of fear of the Most High. But I really want this lifestyle. I really want to be in the clubs. I really want to be partying. I really want to be making a bunch of money. I really want to be doing all these things. So you envy these people. You envy their lifestyles. And you try to associate with them. And what ends up happening is when you get around them, you do the same things they do. You turn back to them. And then when you get around your righteous people, your brothers and sisters in the word, then you want to change up. And it's going to be obvious. And now you're uncomfortable being around your family because you have that guilt complex of how you've been presenting yourself to the world. And these things will cause you to fall. You got to be consistent. Yahweh says, be the hot or cold. Lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Through wisdom is a house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increases strength. For by wise counsel you shall make your war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety. Wisdom is too high for a fool. He opens not his mouth in the gate.
But who are we going to take counsel from? It says, for by wise counsel you shall make your war. And don't get it twisted. We are in a war every day of our lives. And a multitude of counselors, there is safety. And the multitude of counselors is all these words and instructions in this book. They don't tell you one time. He tell you twice, 3 times, 4 times, sometimes 4 or 5 times in the same chapter. And those that are speaking according to that, those are your counselors. And it doesn't even have to be somebody that is per se in the word, per se understanding. But when they speak to you, you're in the word. And like you brought up that example, universal truths of righteousness, when they speak that to you, you can run that up against the commandments and say, you know what, that's lawful. That's good advice. So let me listen to this brother. That way you can still take the message from somebody who may not be in the word. And then when they see how you operate according to that, they might see wisdom in you because you taking wise counsel. Next thing you know it, they coming to you for advice.
Verse 8, Mishlei, Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 8. He that devises to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men.
And that thought is that seed. And that seed, all it needs is a little bit of water and some light, and it's going to sprout up. So we got to control those thoughts. And how do you control those thoughts? You got to control how those thoughts get in your head. If you know that you are a person that are dealing with greed, then you need to stop watching all these things that involve greed, or remove yourself from certain things so you can get a control and handle over those things. But again, because we have envy and desire to be this person that we truly are, instead of trying to be the person that we are trying to become, we'll involve ourselves and watch these things until we eventually fall. So to control that thought, you have to remove those things. And that's part of repenting, changing the way the mind thinks. You have to change, you have to think differently about the action. so that eventually you get to the point where you don't even want to see it. You don't even want to think about that. You have something, Elder?
Yeah, just something quick. Yeah, just something quick. It reminded me. I'm trying to remember where it's at. I can't remember, but if I try to remember what the saying was, it's like taking every thought unto captivity that tries to exalt itself above the throne of Yah. You know, I think there's a few more words in that phrase, but basically that is what we are supposed to do. But yet, I myself and many of us, you know, all of us, we fail in that, you know, and that's why we have to kill ourselves, die daily, because we have to fight against these spirits in high places. Because if we allow ourselves to take every evil thought into, you know, captivity, we will do much better and sin less than we do, you know. But yet, that would take us to consistently stay in the scripture and consistently judge ourselves on all that we think and all that how we act, you know, and that is pretty rough. We try to consider to do that. It's pretty rough, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue to try. Right. As you said earlier, brother, you know, we're supposed to repent, you know. Repent and cry out to the Father when we know that, you know, we have these evil thoughts, or if we have done something in the flesh already, you know, we supposed to cry out to the Father and try and hope that, you know, His mercy will change us to do the right thing, you know. So I just want to bring that point up there.
And these thoughts, how dangerous they are. You know, somebody will do something wicked to you, put you in a mood, in a certain temperament. And just the thought of something can change your whole temperament. You know, the thought of your children, you know, the thought of you know, where you've come from and where you're at and how, you know, what you're trying to go and your goals and you know, thinking about these commandments and, you know, how I can't, thinking about how other servants have fallen and stories that we read, all those things can change your temperament. But when you are angry and somebody does something to you and those thoughts that come in your head, all that revenge and malice and all that stuff will come into your head and it'll change your mood. And next thing you know, you hyped up. Yep. And somebody say one thing to you, you ready to go. Then after that, when you come out of that, after the devil done used you, then you're like, oh man, oh, woe is me. I'm sorry, I ain't nothing. But if we can control those thoughts, that's the seed. My mother always told me prevention is better than cure. And that's what the pharmaceutical company don't believe in. They want to cure, give you the cure, give you something to cure your symptoms, but they don't want to prevent it. So if we can control the thoughts and say, you know what, I didn't physically do the act, but the wicked thought is coming in my head. I don't even need to think that way. That'll change your mood. Because like we saw with Yahshua, you resist the adversary, he's going to flee from you. If he fled from Yahshua, and he knew if I take this man down, it's game over. If he fled from Yahshua, who are we? We're not that important.
What that reminds me of is, I believe it's in Philippians, but the scripture is, it goes, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is lovely, whatsoever is noble, think on those things.
Right.
You know, and those things, that's like a shampoo for your brain. Kind of just cleans it out, because like you said, if you maintain a low meditation, you know, if your thought patterns throughout the day is of negativity and malice and strife, something challenging happens, your automatic response or your carnal response isn't going to be a fruitful one.
Right.
But if you take the time, Philippians 4:8, good. If you take the time to go throughout the day and be purposeful and be intent, be what's that word for, like, I guess purposeful.
Right.
Be intentional. There it is.
Right.
Be intentional.
Right.
About your mentality.
Produce your cause.
Yeah, produce your cause. Like, I'm gonna intentionally change up my thoughts today. Let's think about victories. Let's think about winning. Let's think about encouraging my brothers and my sisters. Let's think about my upliftment and the upliftment of my people. And you just keep building on top of it. Let's think about a peaceful society. Just you know, basic stuff. But as you go and as you entertain those thoughts, you get better at thinking good. Right. So when people, like, I'll even give a personal testimony. I've had a coworker that has been one of the most antagonizing people I've ever met in my life.
The African dude.
Still, don't. I mean, one of the most antagonizing people in my life, and I was away from that section, and I recently moved back into that section, and I was like, dang, I forgot he was like this, and he was trying today, boy. He just couldn't do it. I was just like, yeah, man, you know, I remember I was telling him something, and he was like, what are you telling me that for? I was like, nothing, man. I just wanted to make sure you were up on, kept you updated on what's going on. And it was catching people off guard because everyone kind of avoids this dude because they know that he's difficult. But I was just like, you know what? I've been doing training. Let me. All right, I'm back. And it was a lot more helpful. My responses didn't fall into a full blown argument with this person where I'm going home stressed out and angry at myself because I probably didn't respond correctly. This time around, I was like, look, man. I'm not even gonna go there. The strifing and the warring about people that don't affect your life. Got to be able to tell the difference. I think taking time, studying and things of that nature, taking time, it helped my meditation so that my immediate response wasn't anger. I'm not gonna lie and be like, yo, it wasn't there to just act funny, but I was like, don't do it. Find a productive response and
your piece was too valuable.
You
wouldn't give him your piece.
Nah.
and that's what people want to take your shalom and be like, no, you can't have my shalom, bro.
That's real.
You had something, Elder?
Yeah, brother was basically talking about Colossians chapter 3, dealing with 5, down to you can say 10. To read 10, it says, "And having put on a new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of that created him." That's basically talking about because you are studying this word, you're trying to use this word, in your living, and that's the thing that we all supposed to have to do. We all come short, we all fail, but if you're able, and I believe if you're able to use that word in those situations, then I think you take a step forward. I think you grow then to be able to maybe remember that again in case that situation come up again, then you'll be stronger to fight that fight. But fight that fight respectfully, not fight the fight in the flesh that we all be doing all the time, and we all make a bunch of mistakes, and then have to repent later because we messed that chance up. So that's basically what you do. Exercise that spiritual muscle, to deal with the situation, and maybe the next time he'll think twice before he comes at you again, or maybe it takes a few more times to realize he's not going to steal your shalom, like my brother said.
As long as I endure.
Right. And a little off topic, but a brother had a question about which it was funny, we were just talking about how this year is going by so quick. We getting ready to get into the 7th month. We're going into 6th month, but we're, 7th month is just right around the corner. You got Teruah, you got Sukkah, you got all these things, Atonement, Yom Kippur. You have all these things coming up, the holiest month of the year, and it's coming up fast. And the brother asked, about Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah is Rosh, head, Shana is year, head of the year. And how can the head of the year be in the 7th month? That makes absolutely no sense. That's Jewish doctrine. Rosh Hashanah is in Abib. Abib is the first month of the year. That's April. That's between March and April. After the mid of March to April, that time frame right in there, because it doesn't match up evenly with Babylonian calendars, being that they're all over the place. They can decide the year got 366 one year. They want to. But yeah, Rosh Hashanah, it literally means head of the year, and the head of the year is not in the 7th month. Can't be. So that's Jewish doctrine and has absolutely nothing to do with us. So the Abib starts with spring. So head of the year is going to be spring. When the day springs forward, the day starts to grow. When things are becoming green, Abib means green, to green. So that's when you have Rosh Hashanah. All right, go ahead, brother.
Verse 10, Proverbs chapter 24, Mishlei chapter 24 and verse 10. If you faint In the day of adversity, your strength is small. If you forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, if you say, Behold, we knew it not, does not he that ponders the heart consider it? And he that keeps your soul, does he not know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works?
So he's letting you know point blank right there that your strength is being gauged on how you help your brothers and sisters prevent from a fall or get up from a fall. That is your strength. Why? Because what we're going to see here and we read later, man, everybody falls. Even the righteous man falls multiple times. So we're going to need each other to help each other's up from falls because we're trying to finish the race. So we want to help our brothers and sisters finish the race because we're going to definitely need somebody to help us finish the race. Point blank. And even if no carnal person helps you, you're going to need Yeshua to help you finish this race. The Mashiach, this word. Go ahead.
Verse 13. My son, eat you honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to your taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto your soul when you have found it. Then there shall be a reward, and your expectation shall not be cut off. Lay not wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Spoil not his resting place. For a just man falls 7 times and rises up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. Rejoice not when your enemy falls, and let not your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest Yahweh see it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Fret not yourself because of evil men, neither be you envious at the wicked. For there shall be no reward to the evil man, and the candle of the wicked shall be put out.
So we understand the end of the evil man, so there's no point for us to be taking all this joy. Because at the time that somebody falls, that's still Yahweh showing that, hey, unless this person dies, he's showing that he's being merciful. Because he's showing, hey, look, what you're doing is not working. It's not good. It's not going to produce for you. So here's your chance to say, hey, I want to get up from this. I don't want to be in this kind of state. So it's not for us to take joy when our enemy falls, because it says right there, even a just man falls 7 times. So your enemy could be a just man. And this is you just caught him at the time of his falls. So if you understood that everybody in the room was your brother or your sister, your physical brother or sister with the same last name, you would not be jumping for joy when they fall and hurt themselves. You would not. You would have care for your family. And we have to look at one another that way and say, hey, even though I don't like this person, just like I might not like my sibling, or I might not like my cousin, or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to take joy in their fall, because we got to understand that regardless of the situation, that's still the Most High's child. And we got to be careful how we deal with the children. And how do you think that your parent would feel if he saw you see your little brother fall and hurt themselves and you just laughed and walked away? How do you think your parent would feel? He said, wait a minute, now how he fell? Ain't you his brother? Ain't you supposed to be there to help him up? So we have to keep that in mind. And this is the temptation. The Most High will allow you to see these people, allow you to see your enemies fall. It's your proving to see, have you grown, have you matured beyond the person that used to take joy? Well, he shouldn't have did it to me. Have you not cursed somebody out? Have you not done something wrong to somebody? But you don't want to be judged based on that. You want to be like, well, that's not me. I'm a different person. So we got to afford that same luxury. Go ahead.
Verse 20. For there shall be no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. My son, fear you Yahweh and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change.
And meddle means don't yoke yourself. If somebody is given to heading straight into the pit, don't meddle yourself with them. Grab them. Pull them. Try your best. But if they falling in that pit, you can't hold on to them and say, we both falling in that pit, because you both going to burn up. You both going to die. So don't yoke yourself to people once they have shown they're given to change. And given to change means it doesn't matter what you say or what this word says, they're going to do what they want to do. You can't yoke yourself to somebody like that. And it don't matter if it's your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, any of them. Go ahead.
Verse 22. For their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knows the ruin of them both? These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. He that says unto the wicked, You are righteous, him shall the people curse. Nations shall abhor him. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them.
Now, that good blessing may not come from the people, but the Most High will give you a good blessing, because when the wickedness went on, you cried out. You said something. You set yourself apart from that, so that other people watching can say, I know the character of that man. He's a servant of the Most High. Maybe I need to not do that too. Maybe I need to move in that direction. Go ahead.
Every man shall kiss his lips that gives a right answer. Prepare your work without, and make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterwards build your house. Be not a witness against your neighbor without cause, and deceive not with your lips.
Prepare your work without. Go outside first, get your foundation together, and then afterwards build your house. We're in that same predicament with being outside of the house. We are away from our land, and this is the time to prepare our works. The Most High had to put us out so that we can prepare our works, so that we can come back in and start rebuilding this spiritual house, where we are the little fleshly blocks that make that new temple, that new kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 28, Be not a witness against your neighbor without cause, and deceive not with your lips. Say not, I will do so to him as he has done to me. I will render to that man according to his work.
And that's one of the hardest ones. You know, it's difficult to get me to try to do something evil to somebody that hasn't done anything to me. But it's real easy after somebody has done wickedness to me for me to justify that in every fiber of my brain and my mind that, hey, somebody got to teach this dude a lesson. You going to reap what you sow. I'm going to pull all kind of scriptures to say, hey, you know, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, everything. But in your power, you have to always remember vengeance belongs to Yah. You can't repay that man what he's owed. Only Yah can repay that man what he's owed. And you know, if somebody jump up, they coming down. You know the law of gravity. Well, you know the law of spiritual, of the word. It says every man is going to reap what he sows. So if he's doing wickedness, he's going to sow a wicked reward. You don't have to, you can put your life on that. Back away. Let it. You don't want that on your account.
That's the law of the recompense. And Yahshua pretty much gave us the keys on how to be, you know, usually we're spiritually defensive. Like we're trying to avoid this, avoid that. But he was more like on the spiritual offensive, like, okay, you know how to stand in a place to receive blessings. Now do you know how to go and get the blessing? Like actually pursue it. How about, you know, turn the other cheek and say, bless those who are cursing you. You know, people cursing you could just not say anything, or you could just curse them back. But he's like, nah, go get your blessing. Bless them. And you have your reward, you know, is there for you. Go out and, you know, feed those, and don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. Do all these great works, and you don't have to let nobody know about it unless you was like, you know, proclaiming the kingdom, and you could let people see certain, you know, bits and pieces of your work. Then you just close the window again. Right. He was teaching us the lessons on how to be on the spiritual attack, like to go and get the blessings by means that we didn't really understand at first. So when people come out and they want to do bad against you, it's like you take your faith energy and allow it to come to the earth when you pretty much say, okay, you want to do me bad, fine. You know, they doing all this stuff and you didn't take anything into your own hands, because why? When you take this stuff into your own hands, you already got your reward. Yep. But if you basically, you know what, you handle it, let me put my heart at ease, because you already feel the unjust. If you're a person that understands what justice is, equity is, when something bad or something unjust happens to you, you feel it. You're disturbed within your spirit. But if you go by things the way the word tells you to do it, says, all right, just humble yourself and believe in that law of the recompense. They'll get what they deserve, and you are going to be recompensed for the situation that this society has placed you in. If you humble yourself and you don't add to it, I will reward you for that.
Right. Praise Yah.
Verse 20. Verse 30. I went by the field of the slothful and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns and nettles, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall your poverty come as one that traveleth, and your want as an armed man.
Right. There again, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall your poverty come as one that traveleth, and your want as an armed man. And that's what happens when we fall and we decide, you know what, I'm just, hey, everybody falls. I'm just going to stay in this fall for a little while. Next thing you know, you in spiritually slumber, spiritual slumber. Let's move on to Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 16. And it was interesting. What do you remember where we read that? Where Yahshua got that turn the other cheek from? Was that in Psalms?
Oh, an Old Testament reference?
Yeah.
To it?
I gave
my back to the smiters.
Yeah.
Or gave my cheek to him that will smite me.
Yep. Something like that.
It was in Lamentations and Psalms.
Yeah. It was in Lamentations. That's right. It was Yirmiyah.
And Dawid has said it as well.
Folks think Yahshua just coming with some Greek, we love the world, Kisha behind doctrine. Man, he said, I came in the volume of the book. He's like he said, he's saying, I'm teaching you how to have life and live it more abundantly. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you can stand here and get some blessings because you're blessed.
Yeah.
But let me show you how to go get more.
Yeah.
Mass even more blessings and bless everybody around you.
Indeed. It's very easy to give heed to the flesh. It's very easy to give heed to a carnal desire. It's extremely easy, as they would say, to show you.
It's like breathing, bro.
it's like breathing.
Mm-hmm.
But the hard part and the part where we have to see ourselves as warriors of peace is when we can still retain the peace of a situation if it's necessary, if it's appropriate for the time. Still retain our composure, still retain clear thought, can add, a good word to a situation that is completely getting degenerate. Those things we should reward ourselves for, because if we can't do it, then we should be rewarding ourselves. We can say, you know what, I'm weak in this area and I gotta get better, because this keeps consistently showing that I don't got it like that in that area. And when we meditate, go to Yah, of course, you confess that I have this issue. I'm bugging.
Right.
Confess that you have this issue. And then over time, you may see yourselves back in these frivolous, little situations where, it's minuscule, but it keeps pushing you to show the worst side of you.
Right.
So work on being that warrior of shalom, because that's where the hard thing is. People talking down to you, saying all manner of evil against you for righteousness' sake. Like you had no ill intent in your heart, but yet they still find a way to accuse you of doing some type of wrong. Right. Those things are upsetting. Those things are iniquitous. It doesn't feel like equity within. But if you're a warrior for peace, you can pull on the Ruach to bless you with the understanding to keep a situation in balance, so to speak.
And that kind of reminds me of when we train. We got a certain level of training, we understand, like, man, I'm deadly. And you look at encounters differently, you be like, I don't know this brother, but I know what I know. And if it go down, this dude might die, literally, or he might be maimed for the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. So let me, just be calm and back away and be cool. And we can understand that physically because, we see how fragile the human body is and how easy it is to destroy it. Well, spiritually, we have to look at things the same way. We study. We train on this mat daily, So when we fall, we getting right back up. We know how to repent. We know how to wipe it off. We know how to say, okay, I'm not going to fall like that again. I'm going to try. I'm going to do that. But that other person, they might not know that. Mm-hmm. Whereas they getting into it with you spiritually and they are gone. They are destroyed. They are murdered spiritually.
Yeah.
And they're like, full-blown wickedness. There ain't no turning back from that. And then they're doing that against a trained servant of the Most High. Yeah. It's deadly. So if you know that, you got to back away sometimes from some of these arguments, especially with some of these Christians. You got to back away and say, listen, this is not a knowledge debate. Wanted to just put this out there. I planted the seed. Hey, you call me whatever you want, the devil, Antichrist, whatever you want to call it. Racist, you racist, black Hebrew Israelite, Power Rangers, whatever, okay? You Pharisee, whatever all right. Because, these people are heaping up things. So we have to keep that same spiritual understanding when we dealing with these fetuses that ain't even born yet, and dealing with the word, not allow them to rile up our spirit and our pride. Because they're resurfacing the old man in us, and we just using the word as an excuse.
No, that's true, brother. You definitely got to do our best to represent the nation right. That the men have understanding. They're just not all irate. They're just not all ignorant. Like the men, we have men with understanding in our nation. Women who do their best to understand the scriptures, try their best to learn submission. Do those things so that when the enemy speaks all types of manner of evil, they look and say, what I said wasn't correct. I've broadly judged the whole group of people, and it's not like that.
Right. Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 16, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Ibrahim, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moshe with certain of the children of Yasharal, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moshe and against Aaron, and said unto them, You take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are Kadesh, every one of them, and Yahweh is among them. Why then lift you up yourselves above the congregation of Yahweh?
All right, so when you look at that word, men of renown, when you look at that Hebrew word for renown, it's Shem. H8034, Shem. That's the same thing meaning name. Shem, a primitive word, perhaps rather from H7760 through the idea of definite and conspicuous position. Compare H8064, an appellation, as a mark or a memorial of individuality, by implication, honor, authority, character, base, famous, name, renown, report. And I brought that up is because every time you deal with profaning Yah's name, what is your name? What should I tell them? In Exodus 3:14, it was deeper than just men of a name, men that had a name. All the men had a name. But these were supposed to be men of honor, men of character that were coming up against Moshe. And when you profane Yahweh's Shem, you're profaning his honor, his authority, his character, because you are named after him. You're his people. We have been adopted by him. So we have to keep that in mind when it talks about, you shall not take Yah's name in vain. What that means, it don't mean because you said G, damn it, or whatever the case may be. His name ain't G-O-D or G-A-W-D is where that original thing came from. But you're taking his character when they say, oh, these are the children of Yasharal? I mean, sitting there arguing with these people, these people dressed in suits that just came out of church on Sunday. Oh, man, I'm good on that.
Just in those few lines out of this chapter, you can get the context of everything that was going on during this exodus out of Mizraim. It wasn't a peaceful gathering of people.
Nope.
There was envies. There was a lot of striving. There was a lot of tension. It was a stressful thing because this group is talking, that group is talking, and you could make it similar to the workplace where, you might confide in one of your coworkers or something. In 2-2s, you hear that same thing you told your coworker on this side. There's gossip going on. Mm-hmm. People like, man, Moshe, people talking mess about Moshe behind his back. Imagine you wanting to do the right thing and there's about 50 people that are against everything you're doing. There's factions. It was messy. Phineas running through stabbing folk for the fornications. I mean, it was rough. It was a very tense situation. So if we are fainting with the footmen, if we're getting all upset over like Gentile issues and
Right.
regular little day-to-day petty stuff, we couldn't handle this.
Right.
We couldn't handle this. So we don't make sure that we are warriors of peace now, or that we don't gear our minds to understand the inner workings of peace, the science of peace. How does peace work? And the best way to do that is to challenge yourself with those folks that seem to get on your nerves the most. And some people always said, like, the people who upset you the most are the most like you.
Right.
And I don't know how true that is, but one thing I do know is that you can learn a lot from those who oppose you. Or you can learn a lot from your enemies or those who don't think the same as you, because it pushes you to exercise different rationale.
Right.
And you become more experienced in it. So knowing that issues like this come up within our nation and that we're approaching times like this, we should learn to be warriors of peace now while we still have the time, so that we don't fall
like
and
a class
stumble.
right there. Warriors of peace.
Indeed.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. And when Moshe heard it, he fell upon his face.
Humility. Fell on his face. Go ahead.
No, they about to get in some trouble.
He's praying for them. Oh, Yahweh, please don't set a fire in this camp.
Nah, because you know what, too? You could talk against that person and that person, because Yah's not holding all their iniquity against them like that. But you didn't know that there's chosen anointed servants in the midst of you that you just can't, you're not allowed to talk to in that manner or come against in that manner, because you're actually coming against the living presence of the Almighty Yah in the midst of you. It was the game changed right there, and Moshe was aware of that.
Right.
And when Moshe heard it, he fell upon his face, and he spoke unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, even tomorrow Yahweh will show you who are his and who is Kodesh, and will cause him to come near unto him. Even him who he has chosen will he cause to come near unto him.
That's like, yo, chick chose me. I mean, literally, he's like, look, bro, you arguing with me. I ain't giving you my words. I'm just giving you the message from Yah. You arguing with me? All right, let's see who he gonna choose.
Or even you at a dojo, you see the little kids, boxing each other and, throwing each other over, and then one of them come like, I could take you too. You'd be like, really? Tomorrow we gonna take you up on this one. Verse 6. This do, take you censers, Korah and all his company, and put fire therein and put incense in them before Yahweh tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom Yahweh does choose shall be Kodesh. You take too much upon you, you sons of Levi. And Moshe said unto Korah, hear, I pray you, you sons of Levi. Seems it but a small thing unto you that the Elohim of Yasharal has separated you from the congregation of Yasharal to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of Yahweh, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them? And he has brought you near to him, and all your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you, and seek you the priesthood also? For which cause both you and all the company are gathered together against Yahweh. And what is Aaron that you murmur against him? And Moshe sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, we will not come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land that flows with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, except you make yourself altogether a prince over us?
So Moshe made himself a prince? Why you ain't stay in Mizraim then? He ain't force y'all to come? Go ahead.
My question here is, at this point, it seems that Yah had already appointed them as who would be Levites and who's doing the service of the tabernacle. He'd already established them as servants of the temple. So, you see this all the time in the workplace. People come, they get a promotion, and you leave them unchecked. All of a sudden, they want to run the whole department that they're in.
Right.
They grow too far out their britches, and they don't know how to stay humble. So now they come and they pushing up into Moshe's territory. And he's like, You don't know the trans. So now it's not even just like it's not even like the regular congregation. Now you're a Levite causing strife in the priesthood itself.
Right.
So you're gonna definitely feel y'all's gonna have to chastise these ones harshly.
Right. When you have managers that mess up, there's huge consequences because people are watching. I remember I told y'all that story when I was GM, and one of the technicians, he kind of brushed up against me and I didn't like it, and I kind of lost it a little bit.
Man.
And I didn't touch him or nothing like that, but all of that Dade County came out of me right then and there, and Jamaica and Dade County came out, and we was training, and my chest was already puffed out, and there was nobody else to discipline me other than the owner, and the owner was like, well, whatever you want to do. I had to set an example because I was a leader, and I acted in a way that I would have sent other people home regardless of where you were in the situation for not dealing with it properly. So there was consequences. So the only consequence I could give myself, I had to send myself home.
Yeah.
I had to, like, you're suspended, go home.
Yeah.
To myself.
Yeah.
Because I had to set a difference. Like, listen, I wasn't in the wrong. The guy was dead wrong. Period. But you're a leader. And you've been chosen to be in a leadership position, so people are watching you. So you be a hypocrite to turn around and tell another coworker, like, no, I expect more from you, and you ain't doing more. So Yahweh got to make an example out of these Levites. You are supposed to set holy and unholy, and you're supposed to help the sons of Aaron, the high priest, do the service of the Most High. And you carrying on, and you bucking against the servant that Yahweh chose for you to help
Even
you,
anoint you in the spot that you're in
to
now.
put you in the spot. He gave you a job in the front office, and you trying to get with the VP of operations. No,
That's temptation right there.
There's gonna be some conference calls and meetings, and you're lucky if you leave out of there with your job.
Brother, right there is a temptation that exists in leadership where, it's like, okay, like the Levitical priesthood. We see that over time, they just started acting all crazy. What's his name? Sons, Eli's sons. Right. They're taking advantage of the women at the front, like feeling like they could go unchecked. So whenever you in those those positions of leadership, you have to be a disciplinarian to your own self.
Right.
And be the most judgmental on yourself.
Right.
And keep yourself in line so that everyone else can. And so that you can be given the jurisdiction and the power to so that your word is actually worth something, and you're not being, like you said, a hypocrite in the midst of the whole congregation.
Everybody say they want to be a leader. Everybody come in this word and want to be, head, top dog, be in charge. I don't want to, I know more. I want to listen, and you might not say it, but you'll say that in your heart that you feel you can do something better, or you should be in charge. Until you get in that position and you realize, man, Yahweh gonna hand you your behind. The same way that he hand us our behind as the children of Yasharal. Well, if you working for Yahweh and I don't care if you the head janitor, Yahweh is gonna deal with you because you are a leader. You're in charge of something. Some tens, some hundreds, some thousands, some 10,000s. And we have to understand that accountability all the way to the basic level of just being a citizen of the kingdom. Because if you're a citizen of the kingdom, you are still a leader. Because the sleep people still asleep. You have something, Elder?
You know that Yahweh is righteous, and he makes righteous decisions, whether we see him or not at that time. But even Moshe back in the day, he tried to get out of that. He was trying to make all kinds of excuses not to be in a position to serve in Yahweh. And Yahweh showed him point blank that you're going to do this position. I even got your brother coming that you didn't even know. I sent him airmail, you know what I mean, to make him come here. And he said, look, your brother's coming around the corner right now. And then it was in, 10-day march or 14 march from Egypt, from Israel, or something like that, that distance. But he didn't know where he was. Yahweh told his brother where he was. But yet, when Moshe hears those words coming out of their mouth and their actions, that's why he jumped down and started crying out to Yahweh, because he know what they are in for. Because like I said, he was trying to get out of that big business of standing in the forefront to do Yahweh's will. But yet now he knows what the task takes. And these guys are jumping the barrier here, trying to get a job that ain't theirs, don't know the responsibility, and Yahweh ain't chose them. And they were disrespecting the how you say, position that we're put in. Think you can, it's nothing wrong with going to somebody that's over you and say, look, man, I don't understand this. Let's talk this out. You know, you got to give me a better understanding of what you want me to do or how this is supposed to go. You know, I just don't feel like being a sheep right now, just following you. You know, I'm asking questions. You know what I mean? Tell me how this go. But no, they ain't do that.
Right.
They want to accuse the brother that you want to be a prince over them, Lord
Right.
over them. Well, it ain't him. It's Yahweh that's telling you what needs to be done. So
Exactly.
basically, he told them, you fighting against Yahweh. So let Yahweh make the decision. Because y'all making this big front, you're front in front of everybody. And y'all are supposed to be renowned brothers, put in charge to talk to the multitudes, maybe 10,000 or 20,000 people at the time, you know, it was over. So I'm like, oh, no. Yahweh got to handle this piece of business right here. And he's afraid for him because you know Yahweh ain't going to play with him.
Nope.
And just to clarify, And just to clarify, those 250 was a mix of Levites and sons of Reuben.
Right, yeah, it wasn't all Levites. Yeah.
So in addition to what Brother Mikhail was saying, we look at leadership, a lot of people look at leadership like the way the world does, and they look at leadership for the fame and the respect and the honor it comes with, but we begin to understand leadership in Yah's kingdom comes with responsibility and accountability.
Yep.
That means whoever's in the leadership position, you can't just think, oh, they get to kick their feet up. It is nothing like that. You work, you humble yourself. There's very little room for mistake. So that's why
Yeshua washing his brother's feet.
he's washing his brother's feet. So when you see those in leadership position, the one thing you can guarantee is, look, Yah bent that person into shape for that position. They weren't there because, they were popular.
Right.
Or Yah had to make sure that person went through suffering for whatever position they're in. And if you realize that they're untailored, you can guarantee that those times of trial and testing is on the way, so y'all could just crack that person. Like, whether you like it or not, you're this leadership position, right? And I put you there for a reason. And if you're an eye that wants to behave like a hand, y'all's like, come step into this office. We gonna get you behaving like an eye real soon. So the leadership in Yah's kingdom is not the way it works in Hollywood. Yah's kingdom is ordained. These are disciplined servants, and if they don't remain disciplined, there's gonna be recompense, harsh recompense.
Right.
Verse. This is Numbers.
And just even to further that, like you said, you brought up a good point. You know, there was Reubenites that were in there as well. But he's talking about you sons of Levi. Y'all are leaders. Yeah, Reuben has kind of been pushed down because of what he did. He's supposed to be the firstborn, but Levi became the spiritual firstborn. Yeah. So he's still dealing with Levi because you have that job. Go ahead.
Numbers, Bamidbar, chapter 16 and verse 15. And Moshe was very wroth.
Hold on, we didn't read 15.
No,
We will not come
14.
14. Moreover,
Go back to 13.
I will recap at 13. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of a land that flows with milk and honey? This is him remembering Egypt. He lusting back for Egypt. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of a land that flows with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, except you make yourself altogether a prince over us? Moreover, you have brought us into a land that flows with milk of...
You has not.
Oh, moreover, you have not brought us into a land that flows with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up.
Yeah. He hasn't. Moshe hasn't. It, like the elder said, I think it was like a 40-day trip or something like that. Yeah. They turned into 40 years. Not because Moshe. It's because all the complaining and all the backbiting and stiff-neckedness. But then who are they blaming? They blaming the leader. But the same leader is the one that's praying for them and trying to help them.
And they're complaining about the Levitical order, saying about, they don't get no land, they don't get no inheritance. But I mean, you're already played. Y'all's gonna have checks and balances. You're not about to inherit all the counsel of Israel and take up all the land too. Nah, y'all's like, nah, y'all let the people protect you. You know, deal with their land, but the honor will still be upon you. Y'all has some checks and balances here.
And they got land. They just don't have land that say Levi.
Yeah,
They got land in every tribe.
indeed.
Go ahead.
Man, that temptate, that lust to envy right there. Verse 15. And Moshe was very wroth and said unto Yahweh, he got mad now. Respect not you their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, neither have I hurt one of them. And Moshe said unto Korah, be you and all your company before Yahweh, you and they and Aaron tomorrow. And brother, verse 16 right there, verse 15 right there, where Moshe says, I didn't take anything from them. Whenever you receive from folks, you bind yourself to them. You bind yourself in agreement to them. Verse 17, and take every man his censer and put incense in them, and bring you before Yahweh every man his censer, 250 censers. You also and Aaron, each of you his censer.
And that's when Yahweh give you instructions, you speak with authority. They talking all that, oh, well, we ain't coming up here. Hey, look here, get your censer and bring you behind up here. Go ahead.
And verse 18, and they took every man his censer and put fire in them and laid incense thereon and stood in the door of the tabernacle of the congregation with Moshe and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the glory of Yahweh appeared unto all the congregation. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell upon their faces and said, O Al, the Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and you will be wroth with all the congregation? And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the congregation, saying, get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Moshe rose up and went unto Dathan, Abiram, and the elders of Yasharal followed him. And he spoke unto the congregation, saying, depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sins. So they got up from the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram on every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood in the door of their tents and their wives. And this panic, this all sound like panic right now. And stood in the door of their tents and their wives and their sons and their little children. And Moshe said, hereby you shall know that Yahweh has sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of my own hand.
And this is, again, the example of, man, when you see that wickedness, don't yoke yourself to that wickedness. You can get perished just with it. You got to separate yourself. Yahweh made sure you separate yourself from all this stuff.
Do not follow a multitude to do evil.
Nope.
Hey, brother, it sounds like chaos right now. I can hear pots and pans jangling, people complaining like, how you gonna do this? Hey, other people crying, people, like, it sounds like chaos. You hearing footsteps, you hearing blankets and stuff shoveling all over the place. Like, it's madness right now. Verse 29, if these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then Yahweh has not sent me. This is do or die. But if Yahweh make a new thing and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then you shall understand that these men have provoked Yahweh.
Now, Yahweh caused this to happen.
That's right.
Yahweh, this was a new thing back then. But this stuff happens now. And who caused it now? Who allows this to happen now? Yahweh allowed this stuff to happen.
That's right.
We almost got kicked off the page for putting a video up there where they were having the wedding and
Oh, wow.
the Gentiles were having, and the floor just disappeared and all these people fell. They got angry with that. Yeah, of course there's going to be a carnal explanation for everything that happens, because this is a world of order. But at the same time, why it just happened to happen on your wedding,
Right.
on your day, to you? Could have happened to the people that rented it before, and they're like, nah, we can't rent it. It's closed for business.
Except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. Verse 31. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up in their houses, and all the men that appertained unto Korah and all their goods. They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. And all Yasharal that were round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. And there came out a fire from Yahweh and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, speak unto Eleazar the son of Aaron, the priest, that he take up the censers out of the burning, and scatter you the fire yonder, for they are hallowed. The censers of these sinners against their own souls, let them make them broad plates for a covering of the altar, for they offered them before Yahweh, therefore they are hallowed, and they shall be a sign unto the children of Yasharal. And Eleazar the priest took the brazen censers wherewith they were burnt, which they that were burnt had offered, and they were made broad plates for a covering of the altar, to be a memorial unto the children of Yasharal, that no stranger, which is not of the seed of Aaron, come near to offer incense before Yahweh, that he be not as Korah and his company, as Yahweh said to him by the hand of Moshe.
So no stranger that is not of the seed of Aaron. The seed of Aaron are the high priests. They're the ones that are supposed to be doing the burning of the censers. I mean the incense. That's a lot that fell on them. And he said point blank, don't be like Korah. This is what's going to happen to you. And even furthermore, if you are a son of Aaron and you approach the Most High in the wrong capacity, that's why they had to have bells. They had to put a rope around you and pull on the rope to see if you still alive. Because if you go in there with an unclean heart, with an idol in your heart, you just die.
Aaron lost 2 of his own sons because of that. Coming before Yahweh all out of order.
Go ahead, Elder.
That's basically what I was going to say myself, you know. I mean, even Aaron, you know, they put profane fire before Yahweh got burnt up because Yahweh don't have no respect to person. You got to handle his business right, especially, you know, like he told Moshe, you know, you got to come up in this mountain and die because you failed to sanctify me at the walls of Meribah. Because even though he blessed the people like we went over before, with all this water that they wanted, he was angry at Moshe for not doing his instructions.
It's a leader.
Speaking of that, you're supposed to speak of the rock and you're going to beat the rock twice because you got ticked off at the people? See, this situation right here, a brother you just read about, he got angry at him. You know what I mean? Because what? He was on his face praying for him. They still want to come against him, but they disrespecting Yahweh. They don't realize that. So he said, no. I'm going to handle this business. He said, Yahweh, look, don't forgive them. You know what I'm saying? Of that level. Because they don't get it. And them other guys, they thought you think you're going to get away too? You know, he separated the three men, Abiram, you know, and Korah and so forth. But yet, those guys didn't get away either. You are ones that back them. So when you back them, instead of you back in the mob, you're going to get dealt with yourself.
Right. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 41. But on the morrow, all the congregation of the children of Yasharal murmured against Moshe and against Aaron, saying, you have killed the people of Yahweh.
So what did Moshe dig the hole in the ground? And, you know, people want to be leaders. It's nothing nice to lead the children of Yasharal. First of all, if they upset and you have a group of them coming at you, that's the most terrifying thing in the world. Yeah. I'd rather have a group of KKK standing out there, rather than a group of my people angry with us. And that's what's going to happen when you are in leadership. As soon as things do not go their way, if people have not changed and they're still walking with that fleshliness, you're going to get blamed for it.
And you know what, brother, what's characteristic of our people is that we pervert judgment. You know, when they're doing wrong and you tell them they're doing wrong, they find any excuse to justify it. Let me say, you say you can't eat that pork. Well, we can sanctify when I pray. Like with the prayer, you can't pray something unclean to
You
be
can't
clean.
pray away a commandment.
You can't. You know, this is a command. Well, you be like, what? They'll just pervert all truth and all judgment just to maintain their own cause, and then they solidify their hardened heart. So you could say, hey, brother, you shouldn't steal that. Man, they already owe us. That's mine to begin with. Like, they come up with any excuse
Anything.
to do something wrong. Nah, that brother gotta die tonight. We gonna kill it. Like, whoa. Like, and there's no bargaining with it.
Nope.
So imagine that mentality of one person that's hard to come against, much less you multiply it by 30, and then they all gonna submit their hearts to do evil. That's the mob mentality that takes over.
Right.
Verse 42. And it came to pass when the congregation was gathered against Moshe and against Aaron that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of Yahweh appeared. And Moshe and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation, and Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment. And they fell upon their faces. And Moshe said to Aaron, Take a censer and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly unto the congregation and make an atonement for them. For there is wrath gone out from Yahweh. The plague is begun. And Aaron took as Moshe commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation. And behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed.
I just want to say on that point as we continue to go further that this was a test for Moshe also. Because, Moshe realized, think about it, he didn't do nothing wrong. And he left it up to Yahweh to take care of his business, you know what I mean? And he already confessed that. I never did any of them hurt, you know what I mean? But yet, this right here was a major test for Moshe and Aaron. Aaron opened his mouth, but Moshe, they got on their knees to pray for these people, to stand in a gap before Yahweh, between Yahweh and the people, because he knew Yahweh was going to handle them bad. You understand?
Right.
He's going to deal with them. But yet, he didn't side with Yahweh and say, I'm not going to stand to the sides and let you destroy these people. You understand? When we go further, I believe he talks about why he didn't allow Yahweh to do that thing he said he was going to do. He stood in the gap and he said, no, I know. Just like you said earlier, brother, this guy here was doing Yahweh's will, lead these people, dealing with their aggravation. You understand? And he's getting aggravated at the same time. But yet, even though they accused him wrongly, he still humbled himself and prayed for these people and worshiped Yahweh. And crying out for these people to try and save them. That's a leader. That's when you show love for your people, no matter how arrogant, stupid, however funky attitude they got. He know Yahweh love his people, and he's showing his major love by putting himself in the gap for his people. So that's what we need to learn how to do. Selflessness.
Right. And this a man with a temper.
Yes.
And brother, what sticks out as well is that a plague is going out to kill these people for a sinful mentality and a sinful heart and a rebellious nature. And a priest is able to intercede.
Right.
And they say a man can't, die for sins, or, every man has to die for his own sin. So how are they able to stop the judgment that was about to take place on the rest of the congregation? Surely there's a priesthood, but if you look at it for what it is, Yah chose someone and anointed them to fill a position, and that person that Yah anointed was able to stay the plague.
To make intercession.
To make
right.
intercession.
Right.
But you think one of Korah's sons could have just came up and just did incense and Yah would have stopped? No. It wasn't given unto them to have that power.
Right.
And then Moshe even said, a prophet shall arise after me, likened unto me.
Right.
So not everyone could have done this. There's even parts of I believe it's Ezekiel, where Yah says, even as Job and Noah, and if Job, Noah, and Moshe came to him to stop a judgment, it wasn't gonna stop. They weren't gonna be able to save their own children. I don't know if he mentioned Moshe, but I think he said Job, Noah, and what's the one that got swallowed up? Was it Jonah? No, it wasn't Jonah. It was Noah. I got to figure out if he said Moshe or not. But if only the people put in those positions can have that power to stay the judgment that you deserve,
Right.
foreshadowing a Mashiach to come.
Exactly.
Verse 48, and he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Now they that died in the plague were 14,700, beside them that died about the matter of Korah. And Aaron returned unto Moshe unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the plague was stayed.
You got to remove yourself from that wickedness. All the people that were on the fence, all the people that murmured in their hearts, all that type of stuff, they got it too. Just because you didn't get swallowed up in the ground, you caught the plague. So you see a judgment happen, don't feel like it's over. It ain't over. Let's go to Joshua chapter 7. Joshua chapter 7.
Man, it was rough out there in the wilderness.
It was not playing.
Playing.
And you know, with just the point that the elder was talking about with Yahweh, now he dealt with Moshe, and Moshe didn't get to walk in because he smote a rock, and these people were getting on his last nerve. He didn't follow a simple instruction, and Yahweh knew he wasn't going to follow that instruction, and he did that, and it caused him not to walk into the kingdom physically. You know, now Yahweh prepared something for him, but how does that feel to work and travail and do all this stuff to get into the kingdom, you know, in our land, inherit our land, and then you don't get to go? That's rough. But this is how he deals with leaders, and the higher you up are in leadership, the less room you have for mistakes, because it affects so many people.
You know, brother.
One thing I want to say real quick too.
I'm glad you mentioned that, brother, about the higher you go up, how serious your job is. Because if you think about it, you go through these scriptures, you know, I only think that Moshe in 80 years messed up twice. Think about it. First time that they talk about this, maybe I'm wrong. First time is when he did not circumcise Gershom. You know, that's supposed to be on the 8th day. But how long that Yahweh tarried with Moshe? You understand? He didn't take care of his business, but he had talked to his wife. You understand? His wife grudgingly circumcised and threw at him and said, "You a bloody man." But Yahweh said, "I'm gonna kill that man." But hey,
After he just finished praising him.
Yes.
Great job, Moshe. And Yahweh is about to kill. You're like, whoa, what?
Yes.
Just that quick.
and then the second time it says, "What is a miracle?" You know what I mean? And this time he didn't just get angry; he sinned through his anger. So Yahweh said, I ain't playing with you. I got all the people watching you at your back. What you supposed to be doing? You supposed to represent me, represent righteousness. And you gonna take his attitude and don't sanctify me at the waters of Meribah? I know you gotta come up here and die, partner. Take that man off and give it to Joshua. You've been training him all the years. Give it to him. So I mean, but you gotta think about that. As you just said, the higher you go with Yahweh, the more sanctified you're supposed to be. The more knowledge you're supposed to get, the more trials you're gonna go through, and we gotta pass those trials. The passing is learning what we didn't learn the first time, and that for us we know is hard. We're making mistake after mistake after mistake. So maybe that's why Yahweh, like you brother talking about, he was a chosen vessel to handle that piece of business, even though he didn't know he was a chosen vessel. Yahweh is not going to take no for an answer. You're going to handle this piece of business. Well, we don't know what areas we're going to be handling later on. So I guess that we have to really fight harder to follow Yahweh's will and subdue the insane flesh that we have. Because we've learned some foul things. We didn't grow up that way, like they grew up. But because judgment is not expedient on us that we think, it's still coming. So we have to learn how to humble ourselves and repent, cry out to the Most High to change our funky evil ways so he can use us for his glory.
And you talk about the higher you up, how you get dealt with. Well, you saw Moshe. It wasn't really his fault. They kind of pushed him into that, and he got dealt with. Go all the way up to the top, to the head. Yeshua had to die for something he didn't even do.
That's right.
He had to die because we sinned. He was sinless. So that just show you how less room you have, that when you are the ultimate leader, top leadership, the head, You got to die because of what your body did. Joshua chapter 7, Yahshua chapter 7, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
But the children of Yasharal committed a trespass in the accursed thing. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Yehuda, took of the accursed thing, and the anger of Yahweh was kindled against the children of Yasharal. And Yahshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Beth-Haven on the east side of Bethel, and spoke unto them, saying, Go up and view the country. And the men went up and viewed Ai. And they returned to Yahshua and said unto him, Let not the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai, and make not all the people to go labor there, for they are but few. So there went up there of the people about 3,000 men, and they fled before the men of Ai. And the men of Ai smote of them about 36 men, for they chased them from before the gate, even to Shebarim, and smote them in the going down, wherefore the hearts of the people melted and became as water. And Yahshua rent his clothes and fell to the earth upon his face before the ark of Yahweh until the eventide, he and the elders of Yasharal, and put dust upon their heads. And Yahshua said, Alas, O my sovereign Yahweh, why have you at all brought this people over Jordan to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us? If only we had been content and dwelt on the other side of Jordan. Verse 8, O Yahweh, what shall I say when Yasharal turns their backs before their enemies?
Now, the AI was the Hamites from that little region, in that little area. But it's funny, you look at that Hebrew for AI. It's H5857. It sounds a lot like A, which is very similar. Very similar. I thought that was interesting.
It's A and a Yad or AI. Then it's A in Yad Aleph, Aya. Then it's A in Yad Tau, Ayat.
I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Anyways,
A.
go ahead.
Hey, don't that sound familiar?
AI. Verse 9. For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land shall hear of it, and shall environ us round, and cut off our name from the earth. And what will you do unto your great name? And Yahweh said unto Yahshua, Get you up. Why lie you thus upon your face?
And that's another prayer jewel right there. Try not to make it about you. Try to make it about Yahweh Shem, and that will favor you a little bit more. Yahweh might hear on behalf of his name. Go ahead.
Yasharal have sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen, and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. Therefore the children of Yasharal could not stand before their enemies, but turned their backs before their enemies, because they were accursed. Neither will I be with you any more, except you destroy the accursed from among you. Up, sanctify the people, and say, Sanctify yourselves against tomorrow. For thus says Yahweh, Elohim of Yasharal, there is an accursed thing in the midst of you, O Yasharal. You cannot stand before your enemies until you take away the accursed thing from among you. In the morning, therefore, you shall be brought according to your tribes, and it shall be that the tribe which Yahweh takes shall come according to the families thereof, and the family which Yahweh shall take shall come by households, and the household which Yahweh shall take shall come man by man. And it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burnt with fire, he and all that he has, because he has transgressed the covenant of Yahweh, and because he has wrought folly in Yasharal.
And this is you don't realize how wicked this is, because we just finished taking Jericho down, this big huge fenced city that they thought that they were straight, probably moon worshipers, because that's a derivative of Uruk. And they just did all this, and now you over here losing to these little, small little tribal people that, that you could have just sent a few people there to go destroy. Look what you doing to Yahweh Shem. Because Yahweh got to allow you to get your butt whooped in his name. People say, oh, well, maybe Israel ain't all that. Maybe Yahweh ain't all that. Because of you have brought this accursed thing amongst the people.
And you know, it's interesting how Yah's response to Yahshua's sincere prayer was, hey man, get up. Because Yah knows that had Yahshua used more understanding, being that Yah was with Yahshua since Moshe was alive.
Right.
Like, he didn't even move him into like certain transgression. He just moved him like, yo, you're a deliverer. You're a Mashiach. You're
Your
a
name
mover of
is
these people.
Yahshua.
Yeah, you know,
From
so
Oshea to Yahshua.
exactly. So for you to be on the floor acting like you don't know what's going on, you know exactly what's going on. I've led you out of all these battles, and all of a sudden I'm gonna just leave you. You should know already that there's something accursed among you. You're not like the rest of these prophets that, oh, you know, Samson out here sleeping with this chick, sleeping with that. Yahshua, you know, you were brought up in this.
Right.
So that's why y'all came like, what are you on your face for? You go on your face when you gonna entreat me for something sincere. This is the iniquity of Yahshua. This is something stupid. And somebody gonna die for this if you don't hurry up and get this out of the congregation.
Right. You gonna die for this if you don't get this taken care of.
Verse 16. So Yahshua rose up early in the morning and brought Yasharal by their tribes, and the tribe of Yehuda was taken. And he brought the family of Yehuda, and he took the family of the Zarhites, and he brought the family of the Zarhites man by man, and Zabdi was taken. And he brought his household man by man, and Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Yehuda, was taken. And Yahshua said to Achan, my son, give, I pray you, glory to Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal, and make confession unto him, and tell me now what you have done. Hide it not from me. And Achan answered Yahshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal, and thus have I done. When I saw among the spoils a goodly Babylonianish garment, and 200 shekels of silver, and a wedge of gold of 50 shekels weight, then I coveted them, and took them. And behold, they are hid in the earth in the midst of my tent, and the silver under it. So Yahshua sent messengers, and they ran unto the tent, and behold, it was hid in his tent, and the silver under it. And they took them out of the midst of the tent, and brought them unto Yahshua and unto all the children of Yasharal, and laid them out before Yahweh. And Yahshua and all Yasharal with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, and the silver, and the garment, and the wedge of gold, and his sons, and his daughters, and his oxen, and his donkeys, and his sheep, and his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them unto the valley of Achor. And Yahshua said, why have you troubled us? Yahweh shall trouble you this day. And all Yasharal stoned them with stones, and burned them with fire, and they had stoned them with stones. And they raised over him a great heap of stones unto this day. So Yahweh turned from the fierceness of his anger, wherefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor unto this day.
And the Valley of Achor, now knowing the story, this is the Valley of Achor. And they say, I will give you the Valley of Achor for a hope. And you're like, how's that a hope?
When you say, I'm going to plead with you.
You stoned this man, his whole, this donkeys and everything, his tent, you burned his tent, everything.
Iniquity from among you.
And the hope is in the fact that, listen, man, if you get rid of that accursed thing from amongst you, you can be okay. You'll be all right. If you kill that Babylonian garment, you kill that thing that's in you that's causing all this unnecessary loss that you're taking in your life, Yahweh will straighten things out.
Brother, the favor of Yah has been so obscured, and the obscurity has been compounded that we don't even know what direction to turn in order to get Yah's favor again. So if Yah would turn away from the whole army of Yasharal for some shirts and some gold that belonged to an evil congregation of people which was supposed to be stoned, since it was all a curse, everything they had was a curse,
Right.
and was supposed to be destroyed and stamped out. If Yah would cause that army to be delivered into the hands of their enemies, what says an army that purposely enacts transsexuals in it?
Whew. Destruction.
What you supposed to win then?
It's deep right here, boy. The whole family get wiped out.
So that's the end of Yahshua chapter 7.
Yeah, he was blaspheming Yahweh's name, bro. That's why.
All right, what's the next reading?
We're going to go over to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. The thing about Yah's way is that we always seem to complicate it. We always seem to make it a lot more technical than it's meant to be. It's not.
His own eye, that's why. Man always believes he bites his own eye.
And Yah is a father.
What? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4?
Indeed. Yep.
Okay.
And Yah is a father, meaning that, and he's a perfect father, meaning that he knows how to teach children. So if we continue to make ourselves childlike and obedient as willing children, he's right there with us. Yah didn't send us into this world for us to be confounded without end at every turn we turn. It's because of our hard-headedness. We obscure our own eyes from Yah's understanding. But if we start uncomplicating ourselves and make ourselves more simple, we find it to be easier. We're only finding ourselves confounded because we keep complicating the situation.
Right.
We don't want to learn. We don't want to listen. We want to keep doing our own way and our own will. And if we were to step back and watch our behavior from the bird's eye where Yah is, we'll see how foolish our behavior is.
Right.
How much we don't want to listen, how rebellious we really are. But if we can manage to rewind ourselves back to a more simpler, childlike state, we wouldn't find ourselves in half the issues that we're in nowadays.
Right. Child is humble. You tell that child, sit down. He's just going to sit his butt down. He going to cry about it too, but he going to do it. But we'll find every bit of excuse we can not to do something. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. We're going to start this at verse 1.
Furthermore, then, we beseech you, brethren, and exhort you by the Master Yahshua, that as you have received of us how you ought to walk and how to please Elohim, so you would abound more and more. For you know what commandments we gave you by the Master Yahshua. For this is the will of Elohim, even your sanctification, that you should abstain from fornication. That every one of you should know how to possess his vessel in sanctification and honor, not in the lust of concupiscence, even as the Gentiles, which know not Elohim.
Sensuality. That's what concupiscence is. Sensuality. Go ahead.
That no man go beyond and defraud his brother in any matter, because that the Master is the avenger of all such, as we also have forewarned you and testified. For Elohim has not called us unto uncleanness, but unto holiness. He therefore that despises not man, but Elohim, who has also given unto us his Ruach Kodesh, Holy Spirit. But as touching brotherly love, you need not that I write unto you, for you yourselves are taught of Elohim to love one another. And indeed, you do it toward all the brethren which are in all Macedonia. But we beseech you, brethren, that you increase more and more, and that you study to be quiet, and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands, as we commanded you, that you may walk honestly toward them that are without, and that you may have lack of nothing. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yahshua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahshua will Elohim bring with him. For this we say unto you, by the word of Yahweh, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Master shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Master himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Elohim, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Master. Wherefore comfort one another with these words.
All right, and verse 17 is the whole doctrine was created out that whole rapture doctrine where you feel like we're going to be raptured up in the air. Well, when you're talking about meeting up in the clouds, if you read the Old Testament, you see they talk a lot about the mountain, going onto the mountain. And when you're in the mountain, you're amidst the clouds. Yahshua is coming here. We are not going up into heaven, to the third heaven where he is at. So if you can't just take a verse out of the New Testament that's translated in Greek and try to create a whole doctrine out of it without actually reading the prophecies about what's actually going to happen here. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 3. Just a few more chapters down. Another book or so down. 2 books. 2 Timothy chapter 3. For the conclusion, 2 Timothy is just about 2 more books down from where we were. Chapter 3.
Know this also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce. Brother, what's the meaning of incontinent here?
Yeah, tell me, that's like holding the fowls.
It's G193. My phone had died.
G193.
Mm-hmm.
Akratase. Akratase. AKRATACE. G193. Powerless. That is without self-control. So it's no control.
Mm-hmm. Fierce. Despisers of those that are good.
And then when you're talking about without natural affection, it's natural for you to love your mother. Natural for you to have respect for your parents. These are things that we're seeing in this community is gone, where you seeing folks beat up their own mother on video and be, talking about she lied and calling her names and this, that, and the other. And then you have men shall be lovers of their own selves. Well, you love yourself so much that you become so vain in your own self that you start to love people that look like you, to the point where you loving men. Now you don't even have natural affection anymore. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. That one is philotos.
Mm-hmm.
Philotos, lover of self, fond of self, and selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing about not having natural affection, we're removing ourselves from that childlike element of like just love. I remember when I was younger, I could go to a playground, but hey, you want to be my friend? It was that was it. Game over. That's my homeboy.
Mm-hmm.
This is my friend. But now that natural affection, we complicate ourselves, and then we're haughty, and then we're heady at the same time. So all that results in is the hardness of the heart,
Right.
And then it reveals itself in different aspects of our lives if we turn away from that childlike behavior.
Right.
Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Elohim.
And that's that, being sensual, where you love anything that's giving something to your senses, whether it's the smell, a touch, hear, a taste, a feel. That is more important than doing the right thing.
You abandon all morality for the
Right.
sake of your own satisfaction.
I'm destroying my temple with this drug that's just rotting out my teeth or whatever, but I'm getting this sensual, anything to escape the reality of my actions.
People dying of these opioids out here. Verse 5. Having a form of holiness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moshe, so do these also resist the truth, men of corrupt minds, reprobate concerning the faith.
Right. And these were 2 Egyptian sorcerers. They were able to do some good things. They were able to do everything, but Moshe snake 8 days up. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. But they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. But you have fully known my doctrine, my life, purpose, faith, long suffering, charity, patience. So you got to make an example. You got to keep that example up at all times. Persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch and Iconium, at Lystra. What persecutions I endured, but out of them all the master delivered me fully. Verse 12. Yea, and all that will live. Oh, verse 13. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue you in the things which you have learned and have been assured of, knowing of whom you have learned them, and that from a child you have known the holy scriptures, which are able to make you wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Mashiach Yahshua. All scripture is given by inspiration of Yahweh and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works.
Right? The man of Elohim may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. So to be a man of Elohim, you got to practice these different things. And it doesn't say a man of Elohim is not going to fall. We read that in, what was it, Proverbs 24? Even a just man falls 7 times, but you have to be prepared for that. Just like when you put a child on a bicycle and he rides the bike, you put all manner of pads and everything, in case he fall. I don't want you to fall, or you holding the seat. Well, we have to prepare ourselves for the fall. And you're not padding yourself up so that when you fall, you just don't get hurt and you lay on the ground. You're padding yourself so you don't die in that fall, and you get back up and you keep riding the bike. So that's what we have to do in this walk. We have to avoid the fall. You don't get on the bike and put on pads so you can fall. You try to balance yourself. But when you find yourself in a fall, get up. When you see somebody else getting ready to go into a fall, help your brother, help him balance. Grab the back of the head, whoa, you about to fall. Then you can let him go. We need that, because if the just man falls 7 times, we wicked. We're going to fall a whole lot of times. And the only thing that the difference between us getting up and not sometimes could be when your own brothers or sisters being your strength for you while you're weak. And like Dawid said, those that helped me in my weak times, their prayers, my prayers with them in their time of need. And that's how it works. And that's how love covers a multitude of sin. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? All right. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem. All right, Elder Mikhail, can you come down this way and close us out in prayer?
Heavenly Father Yahweh, most holy and true covenant, Elohim, Yaakov. Give you thanks and all praise and all glory unto you, Father, Yeshua's holy name, Father Yahweh, because we know that you are righteous. We know that you are loving. You are wrathful also, Father Yahweh. And we ask in Yeshua's mighty name to keep all our hearts malleable, Father, soft and discernible, Father Yahweh, when you speak. As you talk to our hearts, Father, to let us bypass, Father, these holes, Father, that's always in front of us, Father Yahweh, as the enemy lay before us. Heavenly Father, we ask in Yeshua's mighty name, have mercy upon us, Father Yahweh, because we need your mercy, Father Yahweh, because only righteousness imputes us because of your Son, Father Yahweh. We have no righteousness of our own, Father Yahweh, and we lean, supposed to be not unto our understanding, Father Yahweh, unto yours. So we ask, Father, your mighty mercy upon us, Father Yahweh, and your patience, Father Yahweh. And as we fall, Father Yahweh, we ask, Father Yahweh, give us the strength to stand up, to do your mighty will, Father Yahweh, to repent, Father, to cry out to you, Father, and change things that we do wrong, Father Yahweh. So we please you, Father, and abide in you, Father, so you may abide in us. Give you thanks and praise in Yeshua's holy and mighty name. Thank you, Father Yahweh, for the opportunity in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.